Hello, everyone. Welcome to TD Board Gamers. My name is Dave,
And I'm Dirk.
and today we're going to take a look at the timeline for 2026 for Arkham Horror Chapter 2. So this was an article that came out last week while we were not even in the country, so we didn't get a chance to
I
look
was
at
on a
this.
boat.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at things to come.
Hello, Arkham Horror the Card Game fans. Back in November, during our in-flight report at PAX Unplugged, we gave a brief glimpse of what the product roadmap will be for the game in 2026. Bless you. In case you missed the presentation or need a refresher, you can see that roadmap right here. So this is the pre-release timeline. So we can see the core game. Looks like it's coming out in spring. And I think March 20th was the date
Yeah,
we've seen.
according to the Arkham store right now.
Yeah. Then we've got the five non-core set investigators. So those are coming out also in spring. I don't think I've seen a date on those yet.
Yeah, well, we'll take a look at the store when we're done, see if those are on there. But yeah, that's supposed to be an evergreen product, so similar to the investigator boxes, like Nathaniel Cho and the. So I believe the core set and the investigator boxes will be evergreen products. So those 10 investigators will always be available when no matter when. So if you decide to join the game in 2030 or whatever, you can still get these 10 investigators plus whatever's in the current format,
Yeah.
at that point. And then we got a scenario pack, which I don't remember the name off the top of my head, and we got
So a small box and then a scenario pack.
yeah. So this is like a three. I believe they said this was like a three scenario campaign.
Yeah, a mini campaign.
And then this
small campaign.
and then this should be like a standalone, kind of similar to
the Rougarou.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's take a look at what we got here. So today we like to provide a full breakdown of what the different types of expansions for Arkham Horror, the card game, will look like in the future. By the end of this article, remember that, you should have a good grasp on exactly. You should have a good grasp on what sort of things to expect going forward. And spoiler alert, Dirk's going to run away. There's quite a bit to be excited for.
All right, so before we dive into the full breakdown, let's establish some terminology. Good, because I'm going to forget this by the end of the article. But going forward, there will be two main categories of products of the game: evergreen and rotating expansions. Oh, that was easy. I remember that.
For now.
Yeah, well, because I play Magic, so they've got those.
So evergreen products, as the term suggests, are products that will stick around for the foreseeable future. These form the core backbone of the game. They will remain in print and exist within the current environment.
All right, so then we've got rotating expansions. So therefore are everything else. Each rotating expansion will be printed enough times to support it as part of the current environment for roughly 2 years. After that, it will be retired. At that point, it rotates out of the current environment and will only exist in the legacy environment.
As a reminder, you choose what products you want to use for your game. If you want to keep playing with your favorite expansions even after it rotates out of the current environment, that's perfectly fine. After all, everything in the current environment is also in the legacy environment. Now that that's out of the way, let's take a deeper dive at what's coming up for the game in the future.
All right, so the evergreen products. So first thing we've got here is we see the base the base set box here, the chapter 2. So since evergreen products form the core of the game, it's only natural that the most important of those products is the core itself. We first revealed the new core set for the game's chapter 2 era back in late October, and we're just a couple of short months away from its release. This is the only product in the game line that new players need to pick up if they want to play the game. Existing players will also need to grab one if they want to play through any campaigns that come after, which is fine since the new core has a bunch of new stuff in it for veterans as well. Okay.
All right. So the new Arkham Horror, the card game core set, is slated to release this March.
The 20th.
All right. And then, we've got some investigators. So these are separate investigator decks. So even if you don't own Arkham, in theory, you want to play someone else's copy, you sit there and go, oh, I really liked Tommy. I think his deck would be cool. I like playing. You said Guardians are fighters, so I'll buy this Tommy deck, and then I can play with your copy and see if I want to invest in the game.
Yeah, and I like here that they reprinted 3 of the old investigators, which I'm sure will have some changes to them, and then 2 new investigators that came with them. So I like that.
Oh yeah, like she was one of my favorites.
Yep.
That she's the psychiatrist. I'm spacing her name right now, but now she's a seeker, which made more sense because her.
Yeah, it's Carolyn.
Carolyn, yeah, thank you. Her combat was horrible, but she was a guardian, and she was not allowed to have guns. So it's kind of like half the guardian card she couldn't access.
Yeah, but she wasn't a real guardian.
Well, she was blue, but
yeah,
now she's yellow. So all right. Following close behind the new core set is a bunch of 5 Evergreen Investigator decks. Each of these decks provide 1 playable investigator, a pre-built deck for that investigator, and a bunch of player cards for that investigator class to expand deck building options. These decks feature Tommy Muldoon as the Guardian Investigator.
Okay, so he's
Caroline Fern as a Seeker.
Okay.
The newcomer Andre Patel as a Rogue, which I believe he showed up in one of the novels or Drowned City, something like. Oh no, he showed up in the Hollywood one. That's right.
Yeah, he's
an actor.
He's an NPC in one of them, wasn't he?
Yeah, in the Hollywood one, I believe. Marie Lambeau as the Mystic, and a newcomer Miguel de la Cruz as a Survivor. Between these 5 investigators and the 5 in the core set, you'll have 10 total that will remain within the current environment going forward. All 5 Evergreen Investigator decks will release at the same time this April.
Oh, okay. So they're a month later.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But now with the Evergreen, so you have 2 from each class. So so you always have some choices, even if all you own is Evergreen products.
Yeah. All right, so the rotating expansions. Now that we've covered the Evergreen content for the game, let's take a look at the 5 types of rotating expansions you can look forward to in the future. All right. So first we have a new product
Children of Blood.
It's called the small campaign expansions. These are just like what they sound. Short, typically 3 scenario campaigns that provide a self-contained Arkham horror experience similar to the core itself. These will alternate with full-scale campaign expansions, more on that in a moment, and in the expansion release cadence, ensuring that you'll always have something new to look forward to. The first small campaign expansion is the Children of Blood, slated to release this summer, so we don't even have a month for this one yet. I'm figuring probably like June is what I'm thinking.
All right, then we got Traces of Nowhere Scenario Pack. On the topic of self-contained experiences, the much-loved scenario packs has always been a staple during Arkham's first chapter, and that's not changing anytime soon. These packs continue to provide thrilling standalone scenarios that you can slot into a larger campaign or just play on their own. Just like with Chapter 1, you can look forward to getting a new scenario pack around once a year. Probably around Gen Con, most likely.
Yep.
This year's scenario pack is Traces of Nowhere, and it hits the shelves this fall.
Yeah, and I always did like these because they were a lot of fun. Like you said, you could either do them standalone or insert them in campaigns. And we did that a few times. And I like the fact that, like, they cost you a little bit, and hopefully you get your at least what you paid back in them, but normally a little bit more, but not always. If you put them in the wrong place, man, they can hurt.
Yeah, sometimes you spend more XP and take more trauma.
No, that's never happened.
And take more trauma. It's like, yay, I'm so glad I paid for this extra trauma that I have now in my character.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So as we hinted at in the small campaign expansion section above, there will be larger campaign expansions in Chapter 2. These campaigns feature 5 scenarios with deeper narratives and impactful experiences that emphasize maximum replayability. While this product type shares its name with the campaign expansions from Chapter 1, it is important to note that these campaigns will no longer be thematically tied to investigator expansions going forward. And speaking of investigator expansion.
So 5 scenarios. So that's kind of interesting because before it was like 8, or more sometimes. So they're kind of following the Marvel Champions.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if they're going to be a little bit bigger.
Probably.
Than some of those, because some of those are a little bit shorter whenever they tied up several of them together.
Yeah.
But not all of them. Some of them were like big, full things.
But also you don't have to pay like over $100, for the campaign expansion and the investigator box that went with it, so, but even though it was only once a year. All right. So the investigator expansion also returns in Chapter 2. Just like before, these expansions provide a slate of new investigators alongside a trove of new player cards to expand deck building options. As we touched on above, these expansions will no longer be thematically tied to any campaign expansion going forward, which means you could get a campaign covering one piece of the Arkham Horror story or setting, and then later get an investigator expansion that covers something completely different.
So I do actually like that they've kind of decoupled them a little bit,
Yeah.
because that did kind of, at times it felt a little bit limiting. And so
Well, I
it
don't
feels like,
know.
I mean,
I don't know
yeah,
limiting, but it just, in the campaign, it seemed like, it's like if you're playing blah, 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 you read this paragraph. Otherwise, you read this paragraph,
yeah,
so they had some of that. I did kind of like it tied in, but not all the investigators seemed to fit the genre that they were, or the campaign they were attached to.
yeah. And that was the thing. It's like if you, I guess that's what I mean by limiting. It's like, if you wanted to stay thematically tied to it, like if, it felt like they were intended, then it was, you were kind of, you had to pick certain investigators or whatever. You could do anybody, but
Right.
to fit the flow of it and everything, you kind of had to pick what came with it.
Right. But now you could have like
Yeah.
a jungle centric campaign and then a Kingsport set of investigators or something,
Yeah.
So they're totally not related to each other.
Silas in the jungle.
Silas in the jungle. Yep.
Speaking of, I haven't seen Silas yet. I wonder when he's coming. If he is. Probably. At
All
some
right.
point.
Finally, if the investigator expansions aren't enough player content for you, then look no further than the deck building expansions. This new expansion type can be thought of as player card counterpart to the small campaign expansions for scenario content. Deck building expansions will not contain any new investigators, usually. Instead, they are packed full of new player cards across all 5 classes with the sole purpose of expanding deck building options. Just like the small campaign expansions alternate with the large ones, deck building expansions will alternate with investigator expansions in the release cadence, giving you a steady stream of new customization options to look forward to. So this is where
that's interesting.
This is where they're gonna, any chapter 1 cards they want to retweak will get reprinted, and then any new cards that show up that were never in chapter 1, and for all 5 classes. So that's pretty cool.
So I wonder if these are going to have more cards since they don't have investigators, or if it's going to be fewer cards because they don't have investigators with them.
Um,
I mean, it's not like 5 investigators is a whole lot of cards, but still.
no, because there's usually only like
Yeah.
3 cards in each investigator kit. But this is if they want to throw in a neutral investigator. They could have like 1 neutral investigator and then a bunch of cards for all 5 classes.
Yep.
So that, I suspect that if they keep the 5 with the investigator boxes, every once in a while they want to throw, like Charlie Kane, if they want to reprint him and they want to keep him.
Yeah, because we got a handful of neutral
They want to
investigators.
keep them neutral. Yeah. All right.
All right, going strong with the new Evergreen products hitting stores soon and a plethora of rotating expansions on the horizon. It's clear that Arkham Horror the card game is here to stay. This game has a long and exciting future ahead of it, and we can't wait to share it with y'all. See you soon.
All right. So yeah, this is pretty cool, and there's definitely more products because for a while we were just getting 2 products on the same day a year. One day a year we would get the campaign box and then the investigator box, and it was like, okay, here's your $120 or whatever it was.
This will keep you happy for a year.
Yeah. So now they're gonna, because they did expand the team, they added a couple more designers to their team roster, and so I kind of like. I think I'll like this new format. We'll have to see, obviously, when it comes out. But
so one thing I'm actually kind of wondering then is, one thing I did like about the current format that they've been using is the fact that the boxes, there was plenty of room in the boxes, and it's like, I'm kind of wondering how they're going to do storage now.
Well, I mean,
these look like they're still pretty big boxes.
The core set will, but the problem is none of these others do. Because this is, well, this might be a small storage box, but they kind of like, because I really like the return to boxes. That was like really good for storage.
Yeah, we're never seeing those again.
No, we're never seeing those.
I love the return tos, but we're not seeing them.
And the campaign boxes, you could store the player cards, and I think now you're just going to have to come up with your own solution, probably. Which people have, like Hobby Lobby boxes, or they've come up, or those BCW boxes, the plain white ones.
Yeah, I've got some of those, but I'm trying to get away from storing cards in those as much because they're just so cumbersome.
Yeah.
So
you'll just have all your cards loose on the table.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll just carry around a stack.
Yeah.
Take game night. I can see that.
All right. Well, anyways, so that's pretty cool. This is the second of 3 Arkham videos that we're putting out while we were gone. So the next one we'll do a review of Dexter, which will be the Mystic. So check.
Ooh, no, he's a magician, not a mystic.
He is
Get it right.
the Mystic Clown.
Okay, fine.
All right. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe.
And if you want to see more content by us, go and hit that notification bell down there, and you'll get alerts whenever we post new videos. All right, see ya.